The docking bay of Vrixen Academy gleamed like a cathedral built of glass and steel. Alien cadets of every imaginable form, scaled, feathered, chitinous, watched the incoming shuttle with morbid fascination. A human hadn't walked these halls in over a century. When the ramp hissed open, Cadet Rhea Ward stepped into the artificial gravity with quiet precision. No swagger, no fear. Her boots clicked once against the alloy floor. The air carried a sterile tang of ozone, the hum of distant reactors, and the faint hiss of whispering. "Is that it?" murmured a three-eyed Carethian beside the viewport. "So small. Deathworlder?" Another hissed, voice slick with disbelief. "That's a myth." Rhea ignored them. She adjusted the strap on her duffel, her eyes scanning exits, cameras, airflow vents, every detail absorbed in seconds. The academy stretched before her like a living organism, corridors lit by bioluminescent veins pulsing through the walls. At the far end of the dock, Instructor Thol Wren, a tall avian creature with iridescent feathers, extended one taloned hand. "Cadet Ward, welcome to Vrixen Academy. Humanities. Return is unexpected," Rhea nodded once. "Permission to begin orientation, sir?" The alien blinked, his crest shifting in mild surprise. "Efficient. You'll find few here share that trait." He turned sharply, gesturing her to follow. The whispers trailed behind like smoke. The corridors curved endlessly, each turn revealing more impossible architecture, floating stairways, translucent classrooms filled with species whose bodies refracted light. Rhea walked silently, letting her heartbeat sink with the low thrum beneath the floors. Every step reminded her of Earth's ruins, quiet, empty, hostile. "Your dormitory is Section 7, Wren said, stopping before a shimmering door. "Shared quarters. Try not to unsettle your peers." Her reflection shimmered in the metallic surface, gray eyes, pale scars along her jaw. "I'll do my best, sir," Wren gave a slow, skeptical nod. "Tomorrow you join tactical trials. Physical aptitude, reflex calibration, threat response. You'll be evaluated alongside top cadets." She could already sense the hostility through the wall. Laughter, deep, resonant, guttural. Inside, 3 aliens lounged in zero-grav harnesses. The largest, a Vrixen male with scaled ridges and golden eyes, sat like a king among subordinates. He rose the moment she entered. "So it's true," he said, voice low, cutting through the room like a blade. "The council imported a Deathworld animal." Rhea placed her duffel on the nearest bunk. "Name's Rhea, not animal," the Vrixen grinned, showing jagged teeth. "Zakar Vorn," he said. "Top combat cadet here. You can call me sir." "I could," she replied evenly, "but I won't." The laughter died. The smaller alien, 6-limbed, insectoid with translucent carapace, clicked softly. "Human insolence," it buzzed. Zakar stepped closer, his heavy frame casting her in shadow. "Tell me, Rhea Ward, what's it like on your planet? Do you kill for sport or just for breakfast?" Her gaze didn't flinch, only when cornered. Something primal flickered in his pupils, quickly masked by arrogance. "We'll see." The next morning, the tactical arena loomed vast and circular, surrounded by hollow projectors and hovering observers. Dozens of cadets gathered as Rhea entered, their eyes gleaming with curiosity and disdain. Instructor Wren's voice echoed through the chamber. "Trial parameters, 3-minute endurance circuit. Opponents will engage the new cadet to test baseline adaptability." Zakar's grin widened. "I volunteer." "Approved," Wren replied. "Non-lethal engagement protocols active," the crowd murmured, half thrill, half pity. Rhea rolled her shoulders once, loosening tension. She didn't posture, didn't stretch theatrically. Her focus narrowed to Zakar's movements. Tail balance, weight distribution, lazy confidence. A chime pulsed. The trial began. Zakar lunged, claws flashing under the arena lights. Rhea sidestepped, fluid and minimal. His swipe cut only air. Another strike faster. She pivoted, deflecting with her forearm. The motion was sharp, efficient, no wasted energy. "Fast for something so fragile," he hissed. She didn't respond. She waited, calculated. His tail came next, a sweeping attack meant to knock her down. She dropped, twisted under it, and used his momentum against him. 1 second he towered. The next, his balance broke. The audience gasped. Zakar stumbled, catching himself before falling. Rage simmered in his throat. "Lucky move, Deathworlder. No luck," she said quietly. "Just gravity." The timer ended. The chime echoed. Rhea stood perfectly still. Zakar's claws hovered inches from her neck but froze when Ren's talons tapped the control pad. "Trial concluded," Ren announced. His feathers flared in visible astonishment. "Cadet Ward, minimal aggression, optimal efficiency. Cadet Vorn, excessive expenditure of energy." The arena rippled with murmurs. Zakar's golden eyes burned. Later in the mess hall, the atmosphere thickened. Conversations died when Rhea entered. Even the serving drones seemed slower. She carried her tray to a corner and ate in silence, eyes down but senses wide. The tension had rhythm, like a pulse before a storm. Krella Thune, the manted alien from Zakar's group, approached. Its voice rattled softly. "He doesn't forgive humiliation." "Then he shouldn't provoke it," Rhea replied, still eating. Krella tilted its head. "You misunderstand. For him, this isn't about pride. It's about proving your species doesn't belong here." Rhea met its glassy eyes. "Then he'll have to prove it himself." When Krella left, whispers surged again. Deathworlder. Monster. Liability. She finished her meal, calm, every movement measured. That night, her quarters were quiet. The others slept or pretended to. Rhea lay on her bunk, staring at the soft pulse of the ceiling light. She replayed the trial in her mind, not the fight, but the restraint. On Earth, she hadn't always held back. Once, in the tunnels below New Athens, she had snapped, and the memory still haunted her. The smell of blood, the sound of her own breath echoing too fast. She'd promised herself never again. A faint hiss broke the silence. The door's panel flickered. Someone had overridden the lock. Rhea sat up slowly. 3 shadows slipped in, tall, scaled, deliberate. Zakar's voice whispered like steel dragged across stone. "Enjoy your victory, human?" She didn't move. "Didn't take it personally." "Oh, you should." Krella's limbs clacked softly behind him. Dilo Ven, the amphibian brute, loomed near the door. Rhea exhaled, steady and low. "If you're smart, you'll walk out before you regret this." Zakar grinned. "You're not in your tunnels now, Deathworlder." "You're in my world." The light flickered once, just once. Enough to cast a shadow over Rhea's face, her eyes catching the faint red gleam of the emergency diode above the door. "Maybe," she murmured. "But the dark? That still belongs to me." Outside the room, the corridor sensors recorded the briefest anomaly, an unexplained power fluctuation. Inside, the tension coiled like wire about to snap, and somewhere deep within the academy, a generator hummed. Steady, patient, waiting for the moment the lights would finally fail. The next day began with cold metal beneath Rhea's palms and the distant hum of machinery echoing through the dormitory floor. Her uniform clung damp against her skin. She had barely slept. The memory of Zakar's intrusion replayed in fragments. The hiss of the door, the scent of ozone, his taunt before Krella's claws clicked shut behind him. They hadn't attacked yet. It was a test, a warning. Now, as she moved through the corridor, alien cadets split around her like water avoiding stone. The air itself felt charged, whispers following her every step. Deathworlder, monster, human. The words bled together into one steady rhythm. She ignored them all. The Academy's upper levels were alive with motion, hovering drones, silver corridors, light filtered through bioluminescent panels. In the observation bay, holographic constellations spun slowly, projecting tactical simulations across the glass walls. Instructor Ren's reflection appeared beside her, feathers gleaming cold silver. "You should report the harassment," he said. His tone was measured, but concern bled through. Rhea didn't look at him. "And prove I can't handle it?" He tilted his avian head. "Restraint is not weakness, Cadet, but silence invites escalation." "I know." He studied her expression. "You remind me of soldiers, not students. This place doesn't need soldiers." She turned slightly. "Maybe it does." Ren's feathers rippled uneasily, but he said nothing more. Midday training was a blur of drills, navigation algorithms, low-gravity maneuvers, zero-G endurance. Rhea excelled quietly, her movements precise, calculated. Each success fueled resentment. By the third session, Zakar and his followers had reasserted their dominance over the field. Their laughter echoed from one end of the chamber to the other. When Instructor Ren called for pair sparring, Zakar's tail lashed once. "Ward," he called. "Let's see if lightning strikes twice." The cadets paused. Even Ren hesitated before nodding approval. Rhea stepped into the arena. The floor beneath them glowed with faint geometric lines, safety protocols meant to stop lethal strikes. She doubted that would help much if things got serious. Zakar grinned. "3 rounds. First to yield loses," she met his eyes. "Fine." The moment the signal tone pulsed, he lunged, not testing, not measured, but brutal. His claws carved through empty space as Rhea slipped aside. The air cracked with the force of his swing. "Still hiding," he growled. She countered, one sharp strike to his abdomen. His armor plates absorbed most of it, but the precision shocked him. He retaliated fast, sweeping low. She vaulted over his tail, landing silent as a breath. "Fast!" he hissed. But not fast enough. He feinted right, then his left claw snapped forward. It caught her sleeve, slicing fabric but not skin. The smell of singed material filled the air. Rhea dropped her weight, twisting his wrist in a motion too human for alien reflexes to predict. For a heartbeat, the predator staggered. Her boot caught his ankle, sending him off balance. He hit the mat hard, and the arena sensors blinked red, indicating a fall. The crowd erupted with mixed reactions, some impressed, most furious. Zakar lay still for a second, then stood slowly, his eyes burning gold. "Lucky again?" he said through clenched teeth. Rhea turned toward the exit. Luck doesn't repeat. The snarl that followed could have melted glass. By evening, word had spread across the academy. The Vrixen undefeated cadet champion had been humiliated twice by a human. The story evolved with every telling. Some said she fought dirty, others claimed she used chemical enhancers. By nightfall, she had become a myth wrapped in suspicion. Inside her quarters, the silence felt heavier than before. The ventilation hissed rhythmically, the lights dimmed to their nocturnal hue. She tried to focus on her data pad, scanning military schematics, anything to quiet her mind. Then, a subtle click. Her door unlocked again. This time, she didn't sit up immediately. She listened. 3 sets of footsteps, the soft scrape of claws on alloy, the faint scent of oil. She rose quietly and turned toward the mirror, catching their shapes reflected in the glass. Zakar, Krella, Dilo Ven, silhouetted by the dim corridor light. "You left before I was finished," Zakar said. "I assumed you'd learned enough," Rhea replied. The Vrixen stepped closer, tail slicing the air lazily. "You humiliated me in front of the entire academy. That doesn't go unanswered." Krella's claws flexed, the faint click-click reverberating. "No witnesses," it said softly. Rhea didn't move. "You planned this all day?" "Of course," Zakar grinned. "I want you to understand what happens to humans who overstep." She met his eyes. "Then let's make sure you remember it too." He lunged, faster than before, his fury stripped of control. She ducked, shoved back, but this time there were too many of them. Dilo's massive arm locked around her waist, slamming her against the wall. Pain flared down her spine. Scar's claws hovered near her face. Still not scared? Her breath came slow, deliberate. "You're shaking!" he snarled, and then everything changed. The lights flickered, once, twice, then died completely. Total black. Every sound sharpened, the rasp of claws. Krella's mandibles clicking in confusion, the thud of heavy boots. Then silence. "Backup power's out?" Zakar hissed. No answer. Rhea exhaled slowly, sinking into the dark like returning home. Her pupils widened, absorbing faint thermal shimmer. The Deathworlder's senses came alive. Someone moved left. She shifted right. Metal creaked, a gasp, then a thud, wet and sharp. "Who?" Delo's voice cut off halfway through the word. Krella screeched, its wings flaring in panic. "What is—" Something slammed into the wall. A shatter of glass. Another groan. Rhea didn't think. Her body moved through instinct, silent, efficient, every strike designed to disable, not kill. She felt bone give under her palm, a hiss of breath against her ear, then quiet again. The darkness swallowed the rest. When the emergency lights blinked on seconds later, the corridor looked like an aftermath. Zakar lay against the wall, bleeding from a shallow gash across his temple. Krella's limbs twitched weakly. Delo was unconscious, breathing ragged. Rhea stood in the center, chest rising slow, her knuckles scraped raw. The red emergency glow painted her face like a war mask. She didn't speak, didn't move, only listened to the faint hum as power stabilized. Then Zakar's eyes opened, dazed, furious, but now rimmed with something new. Fear. You, he whispered. You hunted us in the dark. Rhea met his gaze. No, she said softly. You hunted me. Ren's voice suddenly boomed through the corridor's intercom, sharp and urgent. Section 7, status anomaly detected. Security en route. Rhea took one step back, her expression unreadable. Tell them it was a malfunction, she murmured. Zakar blinked at her through the haze of pain. Why spare us? Her tone was calm, almost tired. Because restraint still matters. She picked up her duffel from where it had fallen and turned toward her dorm door as alarms began to echo down the hall. When security drones arrived, they found 3 injured cadets and 1 silent human sitting cross-legged on her bunk, hands folded waiting. Cadet Ward, one of the drones said, its lens flickering. Report. Power fluctuation, she replied evenly. We lost visibility. They tripped over each other. I tried to help. The drone processed for several seconds, unable to refute or confirm. Instructor Wren arrived minutes later, feathers bristling. His sharp eyes scanned the scene, then settled on Rhea. You're unharmed? Yes, sir, he hesitated. And the others? Alive, she said. They'll recover. Wren's gaze lingered a moment longer before he signaled the medics. As they carried Zakar and his group away, the Vrixen looked back over his shoulder. Rhea's face was calm, unshaken, but her eyes held something ancient, a warning older than the stars themselves. When the corridor cleared, she finally let out a long breath, whispering to the empty air. I told you not to corner me. Beyond the walls. The academy lights flickered once more, as if remembering what darkness could do. The med bay of Vrixen Academy hummed with sterile energy. White walls pulsed faintly with internal bioluminescence, each beat synced to the rhythm of artificial life support. Rhea sat on the observation bench, spine straight, hands folded. She'd been there for hours, her reflection ghosting across the polished glass as alien physicians tended to the injured. Zakar lay in an isolation pod, his scales dulled to a gray-green hue. Krella and Delo rested nearby, cocooned in regeneration gel. The silence between heartbeats was thick with unspoken fear. Behind her, the door hissed open. Instructor Wren entered with 2 security drones gliding at his sides. His feathers were slicked flat, his expression unreadable. Cadet Ward, he said evenly, the council has requested your presence. Rhea rose without hesitation. Am I being charged? That depends on your answers. She followed him through the corridor, the rhythmic click of her boots echoing beneath the low hum of the academy's engines. Every cadet they passed averted their gaze. Some whispered prayers. Others simply watched, wary, as though the human had dragged a piece of Deathworld darkness into their polished institution. The council chamber was oval, lined with living light. Representatives from 6 species sat in tiered arcs, their holographic insignias hovering above their heads. Wren gestured for her to stand in the center. Counselor Tal Vec, a translucent being of shifting color, spoke first. Cadet Rhea Ward of Earth, you were found uninjured amid 3 incapacitated cadets. Explain. Rhea met the alien's faceted gaze. There was a power failure. They confronted me in my quarters. I acted in defense. A ripple of murmurs swept the chamber. Counselor Drath, a crustacean figure with gleaming carapace, clacked its mandibles. Your defense resulted in 3 advanced species warriors rendered unconscious and 1 with cranial trauma. And yet you show no damage. Rhea's voice remained steady. I used their momentum. The dark did the rest. A low growl rumbled from the corner. Zekar's father, General Vorn, had arrived unannounced. Towering, armored, his presence almost gravitational. You dare suggest you bested my son by accident? No accident, she said quietly. Just biology. The chamber fell silent. Ren's feathers flared once before folding tight again. Counselor Vec leaned forward, his color shifting to amber. Clarify. Rhea took a breath. On Earth, we evolved to survive predators larger and faster than us. When the lights vanish, we don't panic. We listen, we adapt. That's what I did. General Vorn's claws flexed against the metal railing. You humiliated the Academy's top cadet. You made him, my bloodline, look weak before his peers. Rhea didn't blink. I didn't make him attack me. For a long moment, the council said nothing. Then Ren spoke. Security footage confirms partial blackout. Visual logs captured only heat patterns, indistinct. However, he hesitated, tapping a control. The hollow above the chamber flickered to life. A grainy thermal recording played, 3 heat signatures moving aggressively toward one smaller form. Then chaos, movements blurred too fast to track. Impacts registered off the chart. The last frame froze. A still of Rhea standing upright while the others lay scattered. A murmur rippled through the council again. Someone whispered, impossible reflex speed. Vec dimmed his glow. Your kind is classified as a Deathworld species for a reason. Rhea held his gaze. That classification was made by those who never lived there. The silence that followed was heavy, pulsing with unease. Ren broke it first. She could have killed them all. She didn't. General Vorn's tone was sharp enough to cut glass. Restraint does not absolve danger. No, Rhea replied, but it defines strength. Her calmness disarmed even him. He hesitated, then turned away with a guttural snarl. If she remains, she'll destroy morale. Counselor Drath raised a claw. Or she'll redefine it. After a pause, Vec spoke again, his tone formal. Cadet Ward, the Council will suspend you from combat training pending review. You may remain in observation until a decision is reached. Rhea inclined her head slightly. Understood. As Ren escorted her out, whispers trailed behind. Some fearful, others awed. She could feel the narrative shifting already. The next morning, the Academy's atmosphere had changed. Conversations stopped when she entered rooms. Cadets avoided her path, but now it wasn't disgust. It was wariness. They watched her the way lesser predators watch an apex return to its territory. Rhea ignored them all. In the training dome, she found the one place that still felt honest. The simulated gravity was heavy, the air thick with ionized scent. She stood at the center of the mat, replaying every motion of the blackout in her mind, dissecting each moment where instinct had taken control. Instructor Ren approached quietly. They'll likely clear you, he said. She didn't look up. That isn't what worries me. Then what does? That I didn't feel anger. Just focus. I knew exactly where to hit, how hard to stop. And I didn't think... That's called survival. Rhea shook her head. It felt like remembering. Like my body knew something my mind didn't. Ren studied her expression. Perhaps that's what frightens them most. Not your strength, but your control. Before she could answer, a low voice echoed across the chamber. Still practicing, Deathworlder? Zekar stood at the entrance, his head bandaged, posture rigid. His usual arrogance was tempered now by something colder, curiosity. Rhea's stance didn't shift. Shouldn't you be resting? He approached slowly, the faint scrape of his claws on the floor punctuating each step. Doctors said my injuries healed faster than expected. Must be luck, or stubbornness. He stopped a few meters away. The silence stretched thin. Then, unexpectedly, he spoke softer. When the lights went out, I couldn't see. I couldn't smell. I couldn't even think. But you moved like the dark was part of you. Rhea said nothing. He tilted his head, studying her. What are you really? Human, she said simply. His jaw tightened. If that's true, then the galaxy's been lying to us for centuries. She turned back to the mat. Maybe it's time someone stopped believing everything they're told. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Zakar gave a short, humorless laugh. You didn't kill us. You could have. That's what bothers me most. I told you, she replied. Restraint matters. He nodded once, as if conceding an invisible argument. I misjudged your species. Everyone does. He turned to leave, pausing at the door. When the council decides, I'll tell them the truth. You didn't hunt us. You taught us fear and discipline. Rhea didn't respond. The door hissed shut behind him. Hours later, alone again, she stood at the viewport overlooking the planet below. Cathar 4 spun in slow rotation, its atmosphere shimmering gold and violet under the twin suns. Her reflection gazed back at her, faintly warped by the glass. She raised a hand, tracing the outline of her own face. The faint scars glowed pale under the artificial light. The intercom clicked softly. Cadet Ward, Wren's voice came through. Council decision, you are cleared of misconduct. Effective immediately. She didn't smile, didn't exhale relief, only whispered, understood. Then the lights flickered again, once, twice. This time she didn't tense. The hum of the backup generators steadied and the glow returned. But for that brief heartbeat of darkness, she felt alive again, utterly, completely human. She looked down at her hands, flexing them slowly. The memory of the blackout still lived beneath her skin like a pulse. Next time, she murmured to the silent room. I won't hold back. Outside, lightning danced across Cathar's atmosphere, lighting the sky in electric white. In the reflection, her eyes caught the flash. Not fearful, not cold, just calm. The Deathworlder had come to the stars, and the stars were learning to be afraid of the dark. 3 days passed, and the tremor that had shaken Vrixen Academy refused to fade. The incident had birthed rumors that slithered through every corridor. The human sees in darkness. The Deathworlder fights without light. 3 predators silenced by a whisper. Each retelling grew sharper, heavier, until it became something larger than truth. Rhea ignored it all. She trained in isolation at dawn, her breath fogging against the chill air of the observation dome. Below her, Cathar's storm belts raged across the planet's surface, constant, violent, alive. It felt like home. Instructor Wren stood at the doorway, silent until she finished her last sequence. You've become the Academy's most efficient myth, he said finally. She lowered her stance, chest steady, expression calm. A myth dies easier than a human, she replied. He walked closer, talons scraping faintly on the metallic floor. The council cleared you, but the board has decided to monitor your performance personally. You'll be joining a live simulation, multi-species unit, observation under combat conditions. Her brow twitched. You're testing if I'm dangerous. Wren's feathers ruffled slightly. They're testing if you belong. The simulation chamber was colossal, half machine, half jungle. Artificial foliage glistened under ultraviolet light. Steam hissed from fissures in the floor. Each cadet wore adaptive armor, keyed to their species. Rhea's group assembled near the entry gate. Zakar, Krella, Delo, and 2 others she didn't know. The tension between them crackled like static. Zakar broke the silence. Council assigned me as team lead, Rhea nodded once. Then lead. He studied her for a moment as if searching for a challenge that never came, then turned to the others. Objective, retrieve the beacon at Sector 9 and return. Limited visibility. No external communication. Full cooperation, Krella's mandibles clicked softly. If we survive her, Rhea didn't respond. Her silence was answer enough. The gate opened. Heat and darkness swallowed them whole. Inside, the environment shifted constantly. Mist one moment, blazing light the next. The ground breathed beneath their boots, a living biome engineered to test adaptability. Rhea moved in formation, her every sense tuned outward. The jungle's noises reminded her of Earth's ruins, the rustle of unseen things, distant calls, the hum of predation. Half an hour in, Delo's scanner flickered red. Movement! Fast! Multiple signatures! Contact formation, Zakar ordered. From the haze, sleek metallic creatures emerged. Simulation drones, programmed predators. They moved like wolves, bodies fluid, eyes pulsing crimson. Zakar's claws flared. "We hold the line!" The first wave hit hard. Plasma bolts hissed through the air. Rhea ducked behind a twisted root, assessing trajectories. When a drone lunged for Krella, she moved without thinking, grabbed its limb, pivoted, drove it into the dirt with clinical precision. Krella froze, mandibles clicking in disbelief. "You didn't even talk later," Rhea said. Zakar fought like a thunderstorm, his strikes powerful but wide. When two drones pinned him from opposite sides, Rhea's voice cut through the noise. "Left flank!" He spun, adjusted, dropped one with a tail sweep. Their coordination, impossible days ago, flowed now like instinct. Within minutes, silence returned. Drones lay scattered, smoldering. Zakar turned to her, breathing hard. "You give orders now?" "I give survival," she answered. His grin this time held no venom. Fair enough, they pressed deeper. Hours passed. The environment darkened, sensors failing, until only faint red glows from their armor illuminated the way. "Power drain," Dulot muttered. "This isn't in the briefing." Rhea felt the familiar pull of darkness. "Stay close," she said. Then, as if summoned by memory, the lights died completely. Every breath stilled. Zakar cursed softly. "Not again," Rhea whispered. "Listen." Something moved through the black, a low mechanical growl circling them. This was no simulation malfunction. The drones had adapted. They hunted by sound now, Krella whispered. "They're using our armor's resonance." Rhea slid off her gauntlet, pressed it against the ground, and muttered, "Then stop making noise." Her voice carried the same steady calm that had terrified the bullies in that dorm. The others obeyed without hesitation. A shadow brushed near her. She turned, caught a glint of red optic light, and struck. The impact shattered circuitry. Sparks bled into the dark. "Move to the ridge!" she hissed. Zakar took point, guiding by her voice alone. The drones closed in, but every time one lunged, it fell before it reached them, Rhea's instincts mapping the unseen like radar. When they finally broke through the tree line, the emergency lights reignited. Behind them lay a trail of wreckage. Artificial beasts sprawled in silence. Zakar's voice was low. "You see in the dark, don't you?" "No," Rhea said. "I just stopped pretending I can't." They reached the beacon near dawn, battered but alive. Wren awaited them at extraction, flanked by observers. "Report," Zakar stepped forward. Objective secured. "Casualties, none." Wren's eyes narrowed slightly. "Explain the state of the drones." "Adaptation phase," Rhea replied. "They changed tactics mid-run." Wren turned to Zakar. "And her behavior?" Zakar hesitated, then said, "Efficient, controlled. Without her, we wouldn't be here." The instructor studied both of them for a long moment. Noted, dismissed. As they walked toward debrief, Krella glanced sideways at Rhea. "Do all humans fight like that?" "Only when they have to," she said. That night, the Academy's main hall buzzed with restrained awe. Word had spread again. The human who once frightened her classmates had led them through a simulation meant to fail. Rhea sat alone at the far table, sipping from a metal cup. Zakar approached quietly and set his tray beside hers. "Never thought I'd share a meal with you," he said. "Never thought you'd survive long enough to try," she replied. He gave a low laugh. "You fight like a story my father used to tell, about a creature that smiled at death. Maybe it just learned to live with it." He looked at her for a long time. "You know they'll never treat you the same again." "I don't want them to," she said. "They don't have to like humans. They just have to stop underestimating them." He raised his cup slightly in silent acknowledgement. Across the hall, Wren watched from the balcony. His voice, quiet but firm, carried through his personal recorder. "Observation complete. Subject stable under stress, capable of leadership, restraint intact. Conclusion: human adaptability unmatched." Later, Rhea stood on the observation deck again. The stars stretched endless beyond the glass, scattered like silver shards across the void. She spoke softly, not to anyone, but to the reflection that looked back at her. Earth burned. We learned. Maybe that's what it takes to survive the universe, learning faster than it kills you. The deck lights dimmed to night mode. For a moment, only her outline remained, shadowed and calm. Outside, lightning rolled across Kathar's horizon, flashing white and violet. It painted her face in brief electric light. She whispered, "The dark doesn't frighten me. It remembers me." Then she turned away, leaving only the echo of her footsteps, and the quiet, waiting hum of a world that finally understood what it meant to fear a Deathworlder.